What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about not only how to get motivated, but how to stay motivated for long periods of time. It's one of the most common questions I get in my Instagram DMs or just comments on YouTube is like, hey Ryan, how do you stay motivated to go out there and run every day? You know, what are you doing to mentally prepare for training for long periods of time? And today I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I do and exactly what a lot of people do to stay motivated, not only for a moment, but for years and years at a time. So before the video gets started, I would really appreciate it if you guys hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You guys have no idea how much that helps, and we're growing so quickly, and your support is really the only reason for that. So every time you guys engage in the video, every time you guys leave a comment, it's helping us. You know, we're spreading these messages to other people, and I really appreciate that support. With that said, let's get into the video. Motivation is kind of a volatile thing for most people. You know, 1 second you might have it, and 1 second it may be gone. In this video, I'm gonna tell you how you can sustain that motivation for years and years and years until you reach your goal. I've read this book, Start With Why, like 3 times. It is probably one of the best books I've ever read. It's totally like a mind shift, really changes your life. There's also a TED Talk that Simon Sinek has done, the author of this book. So I will link the book in the description as well as the TED Talk if you want to watch that. But essentially what the book is about is kind of like a principle for life. Regardless of what it is that you're doing in your life, whatever your goals are, there is a really simple way to stay motivated and a simple way to approach whatever that goal may be. Generally, everyone knows what they want. What do you want from the sport of running? What do you want from business? What do you want from school? What do you want to do? And a lot of people know that. Most people can answer that question. But secondly is, how do you plan on getting that? And you have to ask yourself that. In the sport of running, you have to know that hard work is necessary in order to achieve a worthwhile goal, and it's really the same thing for any venture. So the how is important, and it's probably more important than the what. Most important of all is the why. Why do you want to be a good runner? Why do you want to have a successful business? Why do you want to do well in school? And if you know your why, then motivation will never be a problem. Never. Because the why has to be 100% real. You can't fake it. You can't just say, oh, well, I want to be a good runner because I want to build a legacy and I want to be this and that. And if you don't really mean it, then it won't do anything for you. You have to have a why that is sincere and worthwhile to you. I'm going to tell you a story about how I found my why in high school. Growing up, my mother figure in my life was my grandma. She was awesome. She was like my best friend. In about 2012, things started getting a little rough with her health. I remember one of the last times I saw her, it was going into track season. It was my first year running track. I was terrible, by the way. I promised her that I would win a race. And at the time, I was just like, yeah, whatever. I probably won't win a race. I'm just saying this. But soon after that, she passed away. And you can imagine how difficult that was for me. I vividly remember lying in bed, just crying my eyes out. This was a really tough time in my life. Like, I did not know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And now it just felt like everything was crumbling around me. And, I didn't feel like I didn't have anyone to talk to. And I just remember lying in bed at night and just crying. All of a sudden, this image just popped into my mind, most like crystal clear image, and it was like an epiphany. I visualized myself winning the state meet in track. Now you have to understand how stupid this image was at the time. Like, I was terrible at running. I was the least fit person. See this image in my mind, I was like, wow, that's weird. I saw this and I was like, wow, that could be me. But truthfully, I didn't actually believe it. I was going through a tough time and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep that promise. I'm gonna win a race. As sappy as that might seem, like, that's legitimately what gave me the fuel. I just took it a step higher and I set my goals so high. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna win state. I was so motivated at this point. Sometimes tragic things have to happen in order for beautiful things to happen. And I think when you discover your why, you're gonna be searching for a while. It's not a thing you can just think up, like just sitting in a chair for 5 minutes. It kind of has to be something deep and something that you can kind of dig into. And so, I started training my butt off. I wanted to win a race. That was my first step. I didn't win a race for 3 years after that. My first race I ever won was my sophomore year in track. Can you imagine 3 years of no winning? But I hadn't lost that spark at all. I still had that same mindset, like, I'm gonna win state one day. Like, you guys can keep winning these races over here freshman year, but I'm looking at the long term because I know it's gonna take some time. When you have something that important to you, as your why, then I think you were really going to be unstoppable. And that's what sustained my motivation for such a long period of time. Now, you guys probably know this, but my senior year, when I was finally in the conversation and finally, up to that fitness level, competing with the top 3 in the state, cross country, I placed 2nd in state, so I was really close. This was crazy to me. Like, I was really excited to get 2nd because the year before that I got 17th, and the year before that I didn't even make it to state. So to get 2nd was unbelievable. I wasn't even in the conversation with the people that I was racing with, so to get 2nd and be in that mix was really special to me. And just like that, track came around really quickly, and in the state 3,200 meters, I got 2nd, and I really wasn't that upset. So all the time, over the past 5 years, I had just been thinking in my head, like, well, it's the state 1600, that's what I'm gonna win, and that honestly was always in my head. On the tough workouts, on the last rep, that was always what was in my mind. Like, I envisioned it. While I was running, that's what I imagined. And that's what you have to do with your why. You have to incorporate it into your life every day, and you have to revisit it every day. What kind of promise are you making to yourself? What kind of promise are you making to others? And why is this goal of yours important? A lot of you guys probably saw state 1600, with 400 meters to go. It was such a surreal experience. It was a really slow and tactical race. I had to go for it, or otherwise I would just regret it for the rest of my life. So with 350 meters to go, probably not the best time to go for it, I just started sprinting as fast as I could. And for a while, I really thought I was gonna win. I was coming around the last 150 and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do this. Those past 5 years were worth it. I really did this. Like, I overcame this. I was approaching like the last 10 meters, I was still in the lead. And then with like 5 meters to go, everything that I had in me, all of my energy just flushed out of me. And my legs just didn't want to work anymore. And I got 2nd place. And I don't know the reason for it yet. That was a really difficult time after that 1600. I was crying on the podium, and I couldn't really explain it. I can't even explain to you now why I was crying. Obviously, I can try to explain, and you kind of understand now, but when you invest so much time into something and it doesn't work out exactly as you planned, it's heartbreaking. That was a really heartbreaking time for me. But on the way home, I realized something. This journey that I went on over the past 4 or 5 years is worth more than any gold medal. The progress that I made from where I started molded me into a champion. The hard workouts, the early mornings, everything that was difficult, and I was doing most of it on my own. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I believed that I was a champion going into that race. And so I was. And that's what life is all about. Pursuing goals, trying to achieve them, giving it everything you have, knowing what you want and trying to attain it, knowing how to get it and being honest in that process, and more importantly, knowing why you want it and being loyal to that why. Because once you do all of those things and give it time and nourish those things, you will discover who you truly are. And I think that's the ultimate goal of life. You have to find out who you are.